Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Real Happy Hour podcast. My name is Ola. I'm the host of the show, and I've got a special guest with me today. But just before we start, please click on the like button and subscribe to my YouTube. And if you're streaming this, please like and follow us on anywhere you stream your podcast. So, back to my special guest. Thank you very much for joining. Can you please introduce yourself?
My name is Seashell Christina Yanda, but I go by Sky, which is my alias. And I am a writer, producer, and also director.
Amazing, Sky. Thank you very much for coming onto the show. So I'm just gonna go straight into it. Can you please tell us about your journey and how you started and where you are now?
Well, I'm still on the journey. And how I started, it all started with self-publishing books. So when I was like 14, 15, I was on this app called Wattpad. And just Wattpad is basically a platform like Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, but it's for people that want to write books and read books. So you just make up stories, build followings, and people read each other's stories. And then someone DM'd me one time and was like, "Your story's so good, you should be paid for it." And I was like, "What?" Didn't know anything about publishing books. And then so I went to my MP and I wrote to my local MP, like, "My name is Seashell and I'm a 14-year-old writer and I want to be published." And he was like, "Oh, don't know what you're talking about. But there's this thing called self-publishing on Amazon, like go and check it out." So then I did a bit of research and self-published my first book when I was just before I was turned 16, so around like the 15 ages. And I went into college and I did journalism because I just wanted to do something. I didn't know anything about filmmaking at this time. All I knew was I want to write and I want to tell stories and I want to do something that my parents can be proud of. So I was like, journalism sounds the best thing. And then at that point, I was kind of like, okay, but my book's not doing anything. Like, then my stepdad said to me as a joke, "Why don't you turn it into a film?" And I was like, that's interesting, you know? So I took my story that I had then and I just wrote it out, like literally just wrote it out. I had never seen a script in my life, didn't know, I just watched films as a consumer. So I just wrote it out like literally Seashell, bullet point, this person, bullet point, and just went around college, went to the actors and I was like, acting course, the drama course. And I was like, "Do you want to act in my film?" Went to the camera department, "Do you want to film my film?" And I shot my first feature film. I was like 16 and at the time, and then one of the actors was a part of a BFI acting thing, so we got to do a private screening at the BFI, which was really cool. And that whole experience of me being like, "Oh my gosh, this is based off my book and it's on the screen," I was like, I want to do that again. So obviously then it went on, I kept doing it, went on to do journalism at Coventry University. I did my undergrad there, and I was still curious, like, but why did I watch films, why does my films not look like that, why do my films look so rubbish? And then someone told me about the National Film School and was like, "Why don't you go and train properly? And like, you've got this experience, but maybe it's worth being around people that are like-minded." So what I did was, for journalism, my undergrad, I did my final project. I said, I want to do something that is a line between journalism and also that will help me into filmmaking. So I did a documentary called Pick a Side, Black or Lesbian. And I went to New York, France, UK, and I just shot it on my phone. Just went around filming different Black lesbians and did like a comparative piece on the homophobia in the Black community. And I loved it. And I was like, I want to be a filmmaker. Like, I don't know what I'm doing next with my life, but I want to make films. I want to tell stories. I want to make things up. And then I went to the National Film School. I heard about the National Film School, so I applied. I went to the open day, loved it, but it was like very white and it's private school. So they get 2,000 applicants and only 8 people get onto every course. But I was like, "Do you know what? I'm going to go for it. I have no experience, but I'm just going to go for it." So that summer, I also got into a BBC traineeship where I worked on Silent Witness and moved on to Holby City in the script department. And again, I was just like, I was just hungry. Like, I want to make, I want to make, I want to make. Went to the National Film School. I actually got in, which was shocking because I was declined at first. And I was like, "Hey, I spent my last £50 on that application. Could you just give me proper feedback and not a generic, 'Unfortunately, you're not in'?" And they were like, "Oh my gosh, no one's had the audacity to call and be like, 'Why am I not in? Do you want to come in for an interview?'" So I did the interview. They were impressed, went to the selection panel, then just fought my way into the course. Did my 2 years there. I was the youngest to ever graduate with an MA at that school. So I was 22, 23 when I finished there. And then I went on to work in development at Joy Productions. So Joy Guerrero, she's a powerhouse. She's an absolute queen. So she's a Black queer woman and her production companies focuses on Black female-led and queer stories. She's best known for like Boxing Day, Blue Story, and most notably and most recently Champion. So I worked with her for 18 months, and then I was like, I just went through this like epiphany. I was just kind of like, okay, I'm a development assistant here. Whilst I've been here for the last 18 months, I've just been making stuff on the side. I've been doing music videos, I've been doing documentaries, I've been making all these things. But I come back to work and I'm a development assistant. It's just not enough. Like, I want to do more. I feel like I can do more. We'd had that conversation, but I think it was a thing where we both were seeing different, we both had different ideas for my future. So I was kind of like, you know what, it's my future and it's my career. I love Joy and I always will love Joy. She gave me my first opportunity out of film school, but it was time for me to move on, and that's what I'm doing now. So right now I'm a freelance producer, and I'm just producing things from short films, documentaries. I'm actually at the moment I'm developing a feature, my first feature, which is based off my first novel. And I'm also, because in the past I've been writing short stories, so now I've just finished my first novel and I'm writing a feature film for it, developing a TV show. And yeah, I'm just excited for the future. I'm just at this stage right now where I've never freelanced before. I've never just been out here just doing, my own thing. And I might go back into full-time work, who knows, just to pay the bills. And also, to be honest, like, I have in my freelance kind of era, I have done like a bit of run-in. So I was on a Netflix show, which I can't say which because of NDAs, but I was a runner on a recent Netflix show. I was a PA on a commercial that's about to come out. So I am open to doing other things for the sake of money and just like getting. But I'm going off too long. But yeah, like,
No,
yeah,
this is,
now
this is really good to
right
hear. So,
now
like, this is really, I'm just going, wow, you've done so much.
no,
You've done,
but exactly. So right now I'm just being Seashell, being Sky, and just creating. The plan is to register. So I've got a little production platform at the moment, which is not registered yet, but the plan is in the next 2-3 weeks, I'm looking to just completely register it into a production company, focusing on film, TV, and music videos, because it's what I do anyway. So it's just like all I'm doing is registering. So the Queen knows, or sorry, the King knows what I'm doing, because I think I do it, but it's not like legit. And I think just to get into those, like, the next level of doors, it's good to have like a proper registered thing. So that's where I'm at right now, to be honest. You might talk to me in 2 months and I'm like, yeah, I'm back at a company, life's hard. But what I really ideally, I just want to see where I can go with my company alone, just freelancing. I've got a few, I'm patterned for work until about October time. And then I've got these shows that I'm developing. So I don't know, just go with the flow, man.
that's really cool. That's really cool. I didn't expect all of this that you
Yeah,
just
I went on for ages. I'm so
no,
sorry.
no. I mean, it's really, really good that you've told your story and how you started. And it's funny, I've
Yeah.
got like a similar background where I studied journalism and I just stumbled my way into production somehow. And it was
Yeah.
like I was a freelance reporter. This is back in Lagos in 2016, and I just saw this Instagram post for a production company needing a production assistant, and I was like, all right, let me just see what this is. And I
Yeah,
went there and I just fell in love with it so much that I would like sneak away from the journalism, the reporting job to the production, and that's how it started. And I just since then I've just been in love with
yeah, I think there's something about it, and I think because I could have just, my future was always to write. Like, that's where the heart. Everyone's always like, if you had to pick one, it's always going to be writing. Writing is like, it's what led me into everything else. And I think what I loved and fell in love with about the filmmaking process is that written thing being brought to life by people like me. Like, there's just human beings like reenacting something that I made up in my head. Like, I just made this story up, and now there's these people doing it. I don't know, I just think there's something about that feeling that I can't explain, that feeling. And I was just like, I want more. I'm like addicted to that feeling. So I just want to keep doing that, and I'll never stop writing. If they said let go of everything and just pick one, I'll write for the rest of my life, because I'm full of ideas, and producing is great. It's just stressful, but I've learned to love it as well, because I like control. And as a producer, you're in control, and I,
yeah.
I love that. So
You're sort of the captain of the ship, and
I love
so
that. I just love being in charge. So, I'm the oldest sister. I think being in charge is like a part of my life. Like, as being the oldest sister, oldest grandchild, I've got a lot of people looking up to me. So I've always been kind of in a position of leadership, and it comes naturally. So I think, yeah, producing it's just for me. Like, it's for me.
talk about your recent screening. Time won't heal, right?
Time to heal, yeah.
Like,
Oh. Why didn't you come?
I couldn't. It was sold out. I couldn't come.
Oh
And I like the journey of like, your first screening of the previous one, and the turnout compared to this one. Like, people
no.
need to know more about that kind
I
of
don't,
experience. And
it's it's crazy. When I think about it, it's just I get this weird like I get these weird feelings in my stomach because it's like talking about that first screening I've ever had, even the last one before lockdown. Actually, the last screening I did was probably 2018, I think, because I was at NFTS, so I didn't have time. I wasn't doing any of my own stuff. I was focused on my course at the time. I didn't really screen anything. But the last screening I did was at the BFI. It was a 37 seater, and I barely had 20 people in there. And I was so proud of myself though, because I just like people have come out, and the fact that this was an 81 seat and then we got moved to a 94 seater, and then people were still DMing me saying, like, I'm going to still come. And in case people drop out, I was just like, okay, this is great that people are coming, but I was nervous. Then I was also like, that filmmaker from 2019 version of me was like, this is only the beginning. Like, and this is based on what you've learned now. So imagine you keep going like 2-3 years from now. Like, it's just the feeling is weird. And, sitting in that room with people reacting to something I wrote, it was so unbelievable. I don't know. I just think it's crazy. I just think it's crazy. Like, honestly, I'm not even over it. Every time I think about it, I get nervous again. I'm like, 94 people turn up for me. Like, what? And some people were just came anyway. They were like, just in case someone drops out. People were eager to see my work. Maybe they were eager to see their friends in the film. Maybe they're eager to see other parts of it. I don't know, but it's still crazy to think that that's little old me. Like, that couldn't even fill out 20 seats. It's just crazy.
so, tell us a bit about the film. Like, tell us a bit.
I
Give
went
us a bit
no,
of a synopsis on Time Will Heal.
Okay, so Time Won't Heal. I'm going to send you the link after this call, by the way, so you can have context to it when you're posting this.
Yes.
But Time Won't Heal is a fiction story set in predominantly like the late 90s, mid 90s. And it's basically about lovers that bump into each other and then they're reminded of their past. So they had this really horrible breakup and they've moved on with their lives. Like, I'm talking, they have grandchildren now, they've moved on. But then when they bump into each other, they go back to the past and they start thinking about their relationship. And it's just a story about how people say time heals and you can get over, whether that's a friendship, whether that's a breakup, whether that's, I don't know, maybe your cousin that you don't talk to. I don't know. Some people say over time it will get better, but even loss, when you lose someone, as in like death wise, people always say like over time you'll heal, but actually sometimes time makes things worse. And what's even more heartbreaking about this story is the fact that these guys they haven't seen each other in a long time, and then the last time they saw each other was this argument. So what happened was they've lived their lives thinking that they don't care. They've kind of buried it at the back of their minds because they've moved on. They've got new lives, but then they see each other and actually realize, oh my gosh, I think I still love this person, but because I haven't been thinking about them, I don't know if I do. But then when you see that person, then you're like, oh my gosh, all those feelings are still there. So I just wanted to explore that feeling of like grief and like the feeling of moving on and that feeling of when people ignoring feelings, the idea of ignoring and how your past can sometimes catch up with you in a nasty way. And yeah, so that story just came from a place of basically not really my own experiences, but like more my own experiences.
Sounds like my experience. I feel like I believe that.
I wanted to explore because I'm not very good at talking about my feelings and I struggle so much. Like, I'm so good at when it comes to writing stories and writing about other people, I'll be on that laptop for hours and I can just make up a story. But when people are like, but tell me about you and how you feel and what's on your mind and what hurts you and your trauma, like talk to me about your trauma. And I'm just like, I'm full of like, I can't do it. And I think there's something really fascinating about not being able to communicate or not being able to vocalize trauma. And what does it look like when you don't have a choice and you're forced to face trauma or forced to face a part of your life that you're trying to forget and move on from? I think 35 years is a good amount of time to say, I don't care about that thing anymore. And then imagine now being faced with that after 35 years of trying to move on from it, and time doesn't heal basically. And yeah, with that story, it's just, I just wanted to explore that feeling of facing your past or facing something that you're running away from, especially for people that don't like talking about it, and then you're like, now I have to face it.
That's a very relatable story. Very. I was gonna ask, do you think, as a writer, do you ever have moments where you're writing, even though it's fiction, but there's bits of your life in it?
100, every single writer, even if they've written freaking Avatar, yeah, there's always elements of something that's of you. Like I don't believe any writer that says, "Oh no, yeah, I just made this up." It's no. Like I think on top of that, the raw, you can tell. I don't know. I feel like you can tell. I think when people sit in that cinema, they're sitting there like, this girl, I don't know, like, yeah, you okay, kind of thing. But it's like I do think 100%, I think every writer puts. I'm not saying that the story is about them, but I'm saying there's elements of yourself in every story, and that's why I always say to people, I might not be able to speak up about myself. Might not be able to tell you my feelings, but read my books, watch my films, read between the lines, and you'll understand a little bit about me, and in levels that I have never told you. This is what This is what I always say to people that are closely around me when they're like, you don't really. But I'm like, just read my work, watch my films, and just read between those lines, and you'll understand who I am, because there's bits of me in everything that I do. That's if you want to get to know me. You don't have. I'm not saying everyone should do that, but I'm just saying, like, a lot of writers that don't speak up, they are speaking in their work. Just look closely and listen and read, and you're gonna be like, oh wow, yeah. I'm gonna leave that there.
I was gonna ask about but you can tell me more about it, but you've got like a platform where you're elevating or creating a space for women to produce content, or you've created a space for that,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
So Yanda created this YCT. This is what I'm saying. I'm going to turn into a production
Yeah.
company. So what I'm thinking is, because at the moment, but what it started as was just a place for me to post my work. Like this, if we're talking like 6 years ago, I just had this random page. I was just posting stuff that I'm up to. And then a friend was like, why don't you just name it something and just make it like a more proper portfolio page? Then that turned into a portfolio page. And then as I started to build all of my work on there, I started to realize that it is a production company, but I'm not saying that, if that makes sense. Because as someone that's worked with a few production companies, worked for producers, that's what I'm doing. So now I've decided I'm going to register it properly, make a production company that will cater to not just women, because I don't want to exclude nobody, but it's like,
Thank
I would
God,
say,
though.
yeah, no,
I
not
was
just
like, I would like to be in there. So,
we're not excluding nobody. Like, it's just that I would say we are prioritizing
mm,
women. But I wouldn't say we're like, oh, you're a man, I'm not working. No. Like, if you're a man, you've got a good idea, let's talk. But the platform, we're gonna focus on music videos, films, TV, because my background is film and I'm very in the film world. All of my music videos that I do have some sort of storyline to it. We don't just do like normal music videos where it's just images, like we wouldn't do that. And for film and TV, the same. I'd say like the focus is like just black voices, to be honest with you. I never thought I'd be that person, that's like, I want to talk about black. Well, I'm like, I always used to be like, oh, shut up, it's boring. But as someone, again, I most recently was on this Netflix set where there was 140 crew people and I was the only black person on set. So just to give you context of, like, the further you go up, we're not there. Like, we're at the grassroots level, but the more you're going up and up and up and getting there, like, I'm going on these sets as a runner. Doesn't that tell you something? And I've done all these things. So I'm not saying that they should give me a producing job, but I'm just saying even those producers are not black or women. So it'd be really great to start something where it's like, we are nurturing and training and working with people that want to get into producing or want to get into directing or want to get into writing or want to self-publish a book. As someone that's done, I can only teach what I know. So as someone that's been there, what I want my platform to be is not only a space that we create things, but we also offer opportunities. So by me getting a client that wants a music video, I can automatically hire someone that can do costume, who can then hire someone that can assist them, who can hire someone. My opportunity becomes a lot of opportunities for a lot of people. And on those sets, I have those conversations with people one-on-one, and people that want to get into producing might come on. I might get them on as a PM or PA. And this is what I mean by offering a space for people to train and learn at a grassroots level. But then, because of the people I'm connected to, maybe I might get a client with a little bit more money, but these people don't have that. The people I'm bringing on don't have that much experience. So through me, they get that experience. If that makes sense, because one thing that I lacked a lot starting out was that opportunity. I think I had all the ideas, I had the right mindset, some I had the experience sometimes, but it's hard to get that first opportunity. That first opportunity is it's so difficult, and I want the platform to be not just saying like we're offering opportunity, but literally like people that have not done it before to get an opportunity, but they have the right mindset. You know, through interviews and through speaking to people, you can get an idea of like, okay, this person's passionate, but they have never been given a shot. So I'd love to be, you know, I think one of the actors that I've worked with, I think 2 years ago, he's now doing some stuff. He's now in development for a show at BBC. There's another girl that she started with us, and she was a stylist for an artist I work closely with. And now she just recently come off costume on a Netflix show. And, you know, this is a portfolio she built with me, as in she started with me, like, you know, when this thing was a small thing, and she just started with me as a, let's just do something. And when I hear these kind of things, I'm like, this is what I'm about. This is what I mean. I might not open that massive door for you, but working with me might give you that portfolio for you to go off and do something amazing. So yeah,
Amazing.
that's what I'm trying to build. I'm trying to build like a thing, because I think there's a bit of a gap there where, as someone that's worked in these like big production companies, they're like, oh, we want to work with writers, but they must have at least one TV show. We want to work with writers, but they must have done at least 2 feature films. I'm like, there's some good writers out there though that haven't done that. I think I'm a good writer. I haven't done a feature film yet, for example. So I'd love to be like that kind of gap where it's like, you know, we're looking for writers. We're just looking for writers. Just send your work, you know, just send your work. It's not about names. I know that I understand that names linked to money and all of that kind of stuff, but I think sometimes there's ways you can play with it. Like if I make a name enough for myself, I want to get to a level where people trust me enough where they're like, if she's saying that person's good, they must be good, kind of thing. Can't explain it. It's a bigger plan. It's a bigger
Making a
plan.
lot of sense. And like even with me and this podcast, like the goal was to just have a network of people, of creatives where, you know, if someone wants to do something, there's that network that we have
Yeah.
access to. So it's funny how, you know, we go into situations where we need something, and then we then find out, okay, we would actually like to be a vessel where we're solving this need for the whole.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's crazy how it becomes like that, isn't it? It's like I came in like, I want to do this, I want to do that. Then I actually realized that actually I want to help people do it as well as do it, because through helping people I can do it as well. And also nobody helped me. And it's just this thing where I don't know why it's constantly missing. And I think what I'm afraid of, and I hope doesn't happen, is people say this at the beginning
uh,
and then they get to a certain place and they just don't have time to do that anymore. Not name dropping any big companies right now, but I'm just saying, like, I have noticed that there's been in the past, British and US, like content creators that have started off like web series and stuff, and they started off on this like, I want to help everyone, but then they get to these like they get to these certain doors and then they just don't bring anyone with them, and I'm like, was that just a way for you to like get up there? I hope to God that that doesn't become me, because I know, like, I know where I come from, I know where I started, and I don't know what happens at the top there that makes people, maybe it's not by choice, I don't know what happens, but people do switch up their tune when they get out there.
yeah. So I was gonna ask, so in terms of content, what content has been the most inspiring for you? Like something that you saw that you're like, wow, this is
Most
completely
recently,
okay. What is
most
it?
recently, most recent film.
Oh, it could be like what, because you said earlier that your stepdad told you about, you know, why don't you turn your content, your story into a film? But was there
Mhm.
something you saw that you were like, wow, okay, I really love how the story is being told. I would like to be able to visually create my story to be like this.
Yeah, most recently, I was very, very, very impressed by They Clone Tyrone.
Ah,
It's
okay.
very well done. Very, and you know, as someone that's like not, I hate gang stories. I hate black people being gangsters. I hate the stereotype. Like, I want black people to be in love. I want you guys to be doctors. I want you guys to be in all these different, like, away from those stereotypes. I want to see black love. I want to see households with both parents, all of that kind of stuff. But so when I started They Clone Tyrone, the big first like 20 minutes, I was just like, why am I watching this? You know? But I'm a big fan of John Boyega. So I was like, you know what, let's just give it a chance, let's give it a stream, that kind of thing. But then it switches. And I love the element of sci-fi and the hood. And I think there's something so fascinating about when you kind of interchange those genres, like mixing genres and playing with genre and like challenging genre. I think that's so intelligent and it's so hard to do, but when it's done well, like They Clone Tyrone, it's done well. So yeah, I think something that I'd love to try, because I've never written a hood story. It's not my experience, it's not my life, and I just look down on it so much, like, oh, I'll never do those kind of things. But if it comes to mixing genres, like if it was like a hood meets comedy or hood meets this, or I'm down to do that 100%. But I wouldn't just do like a straight up, not naming a film, but really like a straight up hood story, you know? It's not me.
For you guys, because I haven't seen that film yet, but I'm talking about that film on
Oh,
Thursday.
it's so good. I don't know. Maybe you might watch it and hate it and be like, oh, Sky's Taste is horrible. But like, I really think it was intelligently made. And I think it was at the beginning, if you're not into hood stories like me, at the beginning, you will be a bit like, oh, I sat there rolling my eyes for like 20 minutes. But when it kicks in, it's like, oh. And when it ends, you're like, oh. Like, I think I was really, I love being shocked and I love element of surprise. And that definitely does that for me. So.
And I also like the fact that you've mentioned this hood and there's also sci-fi, which kind of reminds me of his first movie, Behind the Block. I think that was what it was
Yeah,
called.
Attack the Block. Yeah. No, yeah.
So,
This is a bit more just watch it actually. I'm gonna end up spoiling it. So
okay.
yeah.
Okay, so you've mentioned the Clone Tyrone. Any other thing that has been that you've just seen that's just completely moved you? Like for me, for example, when I saw Kill Bill for the very first time and Sin City, I was just like, wow, I've never seen a story like this before. Like a white blonde woman just doing all of this craziness. It's just so intense and the way it was shot was just phenomenal for me. And then Sin City, that filter, that whatever skill that was shot in, it was just so phenomenal. I was like, wow, this is beautiful, and I wish I could tell a story like this. And I like stories with like multiple characters, like you're sort of seeing their lives.
I think for me at the moment, I think They Clone Tyrone has just blown my mind so much that I'm I'm trying to compare something that has made me feel like like that. I haven't watched a film that's made me do that in a long time, but I am a big lover girl. Like I love love. I love relationships that don't work out. I'm all about like heartbreak and like bad experiences, bad relationships, bad friendships, toxic family members. I love relationships that are messed up. I just love mess and messed up relationships. That's what I'm here for. So if you think about like shows like Insecure, like, you know, just messed up people, like normal people, but with messed up lives, messed up relationships. That's my bag.
Insecure was a really good one where he's not just talking about the relationship between Issa and Lawrence. It was Issa and Yvonne. What was Yvonne's name?
Molly.
Molly. So it was really a
So
story
I love
about
it.
friendship. Yeah.
I love it. And my novel is very much like about, I think this is the problem now, because the feature I'm developing is another friendship that breaks up. But the TV I'm developing is a comedy. So I'm just a bit like, I don't know how people watch Time Won't Heal, see this feature, read someone be like, are you sure you can laugh? Like, I don't know if you're gonna be good at that. But my script is actually not bad. When people read it, like I've sent it to a few people. Like, oh yeah, you're actually funny. Like, I wouldn't think so, but you're actually funny. And I think that the jump is a bit mad. So I am trying to do something in between that. Like that's like got a maybe it's the novel. I think I'm gonna introduce some like comedy. So it's like more comedy drama, just because yeah, the tone is very at the moment. My slate is looking very sad. Otherwise.
You've also got a podcast, right?
No, I used to. Oh my god, how did you find that? You really did dig it. You really dug. Not anymore. When I was at uni, we had After Dark, and we did that. Why did we do that? Well, we just did it. You know, it was fun. It was a student show for students by students, and we just wanted to do something outside of our course that we could talk about at work and stuff like that. And also, I wanted to practice my editing skills. Again, it's just me being hungry for production. And luckily, my friend believed in my vision as well. And I love chatting. So, you know, gossiping and, you know, the whole idea of After Dark. It's after 9 o'clock. We just talk about things that as students do and get up to after dark. It was really fun. So I love what you're doing. I think it's a difficult job in terms of, obviously, when we left uni, it was hard to carry on doing it. for many reasons, kind of career differences, and because my friend went into marketing, she's doing very well. She works in marketing at Netflix. She's doing very, very well there. And I just went into I went to do my master's. So it just didn't work. However, I think it was difficult to do anyway, because you have to come up with content, film the content, release the content, find the guests. That was a lot of work. And I just don't have the time anymore. But you're a producer, doing a podcast, you're a producer, because you have to do all that
Yes,
research.
doing everything, and because also this is my first season, and I'm everything. I'm the producer, director, editor, but I'm getting a team now, and I've got a camera person now. I've got an editor now, so it's building. It's so
Building. Exactly.
yeah,
That's how everything starts somewhere. The Eiffel Tower started somewhere. Everything starts somewhere. Like there's a beginning and there's a ground for everything. So, you
and
know,
also like even being a creative, like one of the things that you're not really told is you have to be your own self motivator. Like you are your biggest cheerleader, and it's not like other jobs where if you're like freelancing or you're doing your own thing where there's money that's for sure
yeah.
coming at the end of the month. So it's really not about the money when you're
Yeah,
doing being a creative. It's like you're just following this voice in your head.
exactly.
And there could have been so many people who are like, "Do you really know what you're doing?" But you just for some weird reason, you're just
Yeah.
convinced you're. It's really
I
odd.
get that. Yeah, that's why I relate with Insecure so much, because that moment of when Issa's talking to herself in the mirror and all that, her different. Sometimes I hear the 15-year-old version of me being like, Seashell, like, you're so cool. Like, do you get what I mean? Because when I started this film stuff, I never imagined myself going NFTS or like.
Actually gave me chills what you just said.
Yeah, like no, but like, literally, I never imagined myself like screening stuff and like doing all these like music videos. When I wanted to start, I was like, I just want to do something with my friends on the screen. I didn't think of all of this. So 15-year-old me would think I was so flipping cool. Like I'd be like, I want to walk around with her. I want her to mentor me. So sometimes we spend so long sometimes focusing on where we want to be that we forget how far we've come. So sometimes it's good to sit and be like, I've done all of this though. Pat yourself on the back, like you said, be your own motivator and be like, you've done this, you've done this, you've done this, you've done this. No one can tell you shit. Am I allowed to swear on this?
You can. There's a couple of words to say.
No one can tell you nothing. So sometimes it's great to set goals and be like, by the end of this year, I want to achieve this, 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 and that. But sometimes as well, do sit down and remind yourself of how far you've come, just to remind yourself of like, look at how long that took me to get here. So sometimes your goals might not be realistic in terms of what you're pressuring yourself to get done. And it's weird. We give ourselves so much time to get to where we are, but we don't give ourselves the same time to get to where we're going. We're always like, yeah, well, I need to get this done in 2 weeks. It's like, yeah, but for you to get a sold out screening, it took you 6 years. So allow yourself another 6 years and let's see what's going to happen. Don't be like, I'm giving myself a week to do that. It's, sometimes you just got to be nicer to yourself. That's what I mean. Be kinder to yourself, because you're capable, but just be kinder to yourself. Like,
Amazing. Wow, that's I'm gonna take this with me. Like what you just said now, just reflecting back on how far you've come, and
yeah.
it's really important, and that's such a powerful message. And
Anytime you feel down, there's something I'm still doing, especially as someone that's when I had to quit my job, I had to, there was a part of myself that was like, don't do it, don't quit. You need this and da 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 da. But there's another part of me that was like, why are you like? I had to remind myself, I sit with myself and be like, what is the reason? Like, what is the bigger picture and all of these things? So it's about sometimes just being kind to yourself and stop kind of thinking about the other factors, except for what you have to think about what benefits you first, and just putting yourself first. It's something I'm still learning, like reminding myself when I start to feel really down and low. We all have those days as creatives, writer's block, all these things. It's just, those are the moments you have to be kind, because if you think different direction, it's dangerous. You can become really depressed. It can be really dark. So just try and lift yourself up. Sometimes you don't need that validation from other people. Sometimes yourself, that you tell yourself, I'm that bitch, I'm that person. And sometimes it's like, when you're the best dressed in a party and nobody tells you look good. You don't care. You look good. Do you get what I mean? You don't need to go around and be like, do you like my outfit? You look good. You look in that mirror and you're like, damn, I look good. So I think it's that kind of thing where just reminding yourself that you're that person. You're like, I'm that person. Like there's only one me, only I can do this, I can achieve this. Like God put me here. This is my story, this is my sometimes you just have to do that, you know. I'm still
Amazing.
learning this year, so
Amazing. Thank you so much, Sky. This has been a very enlightening episode. Like it has been like at least now you've shared a bit of your story, and people that are watching this will be inspired. I'm inspired just listening
so
to your journey. Like it's really good, and like the part of your. I wish I came to your screening because I just was like so overwhelmed. Like, oh wow, there's no space anymore. Like this is
oh,
like. So I wish I just well, didn't care. I just decided to come
so,
because
I mean, I think you would have enjoyed it because we did a networking afterwards, which I had the idea afterwards. I was like, wait, why don't we do like a little? So we hired the bar out and people just stayed behind for like an hour and a bit, and just everyone was just networking, which was fantastic. Actors like, where's my next job? You know, it was great. It was fantastic. Agents were there, so you know, people trying to just pitch themselves. It was really cool. I think it was a really, again, just being feeling like I was that vessel, like because of my screening. Yes, they came to watch the film, but everyone's getting something out of it as well, and hopefully relationships, like fruitful relationships, were formed, hopefully. And I just love that. I absolutely love that.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. And yeah, thank you all for listening. If you're listening via many of the streaming sites, and if you're watching via YouTube, thank you so much for watching all the way through. Once again, like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much, Sky, for taking the time to
Thanks for having me.
come on and and just share your story because it's very inspirational and this yeah, goosebumps, feels all the feels. I'm feeling all the yeah.
It was too much.
I'm gonna take that with me because it's real. Like just reflecting, picturing your younger self, and then and just sort of speaking to them, and them just going, "Wow!" And because it's true, and it's real, and that is powerful. Just having that moment to just speak to your younger self and let them acknowledge how far you've come. It's beautiful. So thank you for that, and thank you.
Thank you.